Hello, everyone. It's another Wednesday. Welcome to Unravel Uplift, the podcast where we unravel the messy, complicated, sometimes uncomfortable part of middle life, and then we uplift each other with practical tools, fresh perspectives, and reminder that we're not doing this alone.
We're your hosts, Claire Evans,
Jen.
And today we're talking about something that feels like it's happening everywhere around us. Women changing careers, women launching businesses, women traveling solo, women getting divorced, women finally going back to school, and women finally saying, this life doesn't fit me anymore.
And this is where it gets super interesting, right? Like society often calls that a midlife crisis. But what if it actually was like a midlife awakening? I was
that.
super excited when we dug
that.
into this because I think that's where it's pivotal, right? We get really negative about it. So today we are unraveling what we are calling the Great Midlife Rebrand.
I just love everything about that. It just sounds so empowering. Yeah. And I really love the fact we're kind of getting that midlife crisis.
Yep.
Like I'm visualizing a piece of paper here, getting that paper with putting it together and squashing it, like screwing it up and then throwing it in the trash.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're awakening people.
Yes.
Okay.
So for decades, midlife was marketed as a decline, right? Like you're halfway through your life. And think about all that messaging that we've heard our entire lives. Anti-aging, empty nest syndrome, midlife crisis, menopause was something to survive, which that is sort of true. I feel like that is true.
I think it's changing though. I do feel that we are in a world where there's more acknowledgement that women have been and are suffering.
Yeah.
And should not be.
Yeah. And then the idea that the best years of your life are behind you, right?
Yeah.
So those are heavy statements.
And I think that underlying message has always been the same. You have peaked. Now just maintain. Right. It's like, yeah. We don't like that.
Yeah, we don't like that.
What if that was completely wrong? Because now what we're seeking today looks very different. We're not shrinking into middle life. We're actually expanding. We're growing.
Yeah.
It's like a rebirth.
Yeah, the reinvention tour, really.
I mean, I feel like we're seeing a lot of women launching businesses at 50, which is so empowering.
Yep.
Changing careers at 48.
Yep.
Writing books at 60. Becoming first-time entrepreneurs at 55. Getting stronger physically than they were at 30. Traveling solo. Learning entirely new skills. Leaving relationships that no longer serve purpose. And pursuing passions that they buried decades ago.
Yeah. That's like super empowering to know that you can change the script anytime you want to, rewrite that. And maybe that's the most inspiring part, that many of these women are not reinventing themselves. They're reclaiming themselves, right? That's a powerful statement.
Like just listening to that inner voice that's maybe been there for 20 years and we've been quashing it.
Yeah.
And now we're actually giving ourselves permission to dream big again.
Right.
Like I think about when I was in my 20s and I had all these aspirations.
Yes.
Not only just for my life going forward with my career, but travel and doing things that I was passionate about.
Right.
And it's almost like you squash them down, quash those noises for so many years.
Right.
And now we get to re-listen.
I know. I love that. So going back to reclaiming themselves and like becoming who they are before they started thinking about everybody else in your life, your family, spouses, other things. And for decades, midlife was marketed as a decline. But today, women are redefining that as an expansion. So not an ending, a beginning, not closing a chapter, a rewrite, not a decline, an evolution.
Yeah. Love that.
So a couple examples that when we were getting ready for this podcast that were out there that we thought were recent and something to talk about was Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She has her own podcast that, I'll dip into every now and then. And I mean, she's a celebrity. She doesn't have to do anything. She could coast on the success that she's had with everything that she's done. But instead, she launched a podcast in her 60s, and it's called Wiser Than Me. And when they talked to her about why she wanted to do this, it was because she said she had to. That she had more to say, right? She didn't it wasn't out of, financial benefit. There was something that she wanted to say that she wanted to share with her community. So I think that's really powerful. And really right before we jumped on here today, it's the reason that we do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's fulfilling for both of us, but we also hope that one or two people that are out there listening find what we're saying important and motivating and are inspired, or, and share the episode or inspires other people. So it's a win-win.
And that you don't just feel like you're going through these motions on your own.
Right.
Because I think it can, at this point, when we look at this awakening, it can almost make you feel guilty. It can almost make you feel like, I shouldn't do this.
Right.
And I'm hoping that there's a community out there that sees us, and you don't have to do the same as us, but just feels like, okay, there's other people feeling the same or similar feelings that I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And there's now an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's take Viola Davis as well. She's spoken openly about stepping more fully into her power later in life and becoming more authentically herself.
Mm-hmm.
Her story is not about becoming someone completely different. It's about becoming more unapologetically who she was already.
Yeah.
And I think that comes with this territory, right? You're at a point where you're like, it's not that you stop giving a shit. It's just more that you start thinking, why should I hold back on how I feel?
Yes.
Why should I not live my true authentic self? I've made it through this far. I've got a gift of life.
Mm-hmm.
Why stop being who I genuinely am?
Yes. And she, if you don't follow her, like on Instagram, her content is just so inspiring and human.
Yeah.
And maybe there's things that you agree with her on or not, but it's just a very human feeling. Like the things that she posts, and it's usually from other people. Some of it's her own content, but usually it's, other people's content that she's sharing and giving them a platform. But it's just really human. And when you, it's sort of like those feel goods too.
Yeah.
So she's a good one to follow if you're just looking for some uplift, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way to get on board, Viola. Okay. So another one of our favorite voices on this topic is Martha Beck. So go ahead and jot that down. Many of her work centers on what could be described as like that second half of life, that awakening that we've been talking about. And the idea is that society often labels that midlife crisis, which may actually be something a little bit deeper. And it's a way to be authentic and like self-knocking on that door and asking, are we ready now? So are we ready to do this now? I think is where we often, like you said, we've closed maybe the book on things that we wanted to do in our youth or at another time. And then maybe now is the time to like relaunch that strategy, So I think that's, Martha Beck has some really good content around that.
So I suppose I start thinking, why is this happening, Jen? Like, why, I think about the generation before us and women living their lives differently.
Yep.
So I'm just, just curious at this shift, this generational shift. And here's something fascinating. Women today are living longer than previous generations, and many of us have another 30 or 40 years ahead of us.
Yeah.
I also think one thing that comes big into play here as well is generationally, we are a generation where there's a lot more women that are in the workplace still.
Yes.
Like I look at this with menopause and I think, okay, shifts are being made and that we're acknowledging it. And what's the why behind that? And this is just my personal opinion, but I think from a human resources perspective, when you've got women going out of the workforce because they are suffering from menopause symptoms,
right,
and your workforce is now made up of a lot more women than historically have been, I think it's getting acknowledged.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's affecting the bottom line.
Yes.
So I think things have changed. The platform has changed.
Definitely changed. Yeah. So when you think about that 30 to 40 years that we still have ahead of us, I mean, think about what we've already accomplished in 30 to 40 years, right? Like going out of college, raising your children, starting families, major career shifts. I mean, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time to make change, right? So if you're 48, 50, 52, you still have a decade of life ahead of you, right? And that's not an ending. That's halftime, I guess. Yeah. To put it in a sport analogy, we're at halftime, guys. And once you realize that, the question you can start changing is, how do I hold on to the life that I have? Like, sort of getting rid of that statement and start asking yourself, what do I want in the second half of my life to become? Right?
Yeah. I'm always thinking as well, when we talk halftime, what's the halftime show entertainment like?
Right. No kidding. Yes.
What does this look like?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
It's always the fun bit.
Yeah. So research on happiness has identified what is often called as the U curve of happiness. So happiness may be higher in youth and then dip during midlife and then rise again in later life. So, I mean, that gives us a good visual about where we are on that timeline.
And when you think about that, it makes sense. Midlife is often when responsibilities peak. So often in your career, it's that opportunity to take that more senior role, have more opportunities to have responsibility. Your children are in a point where they're becoming more independent. So there's less responsibility there, except for financially.
Right.
Financially, that doesn't change. You might find that your finances are more in control. I know we covered this a couple of weeks ago, and I know the financial world can seem very overwhelming, but I also think it's a point in which you actually have a bit more visibility of what you need to cover and what you need to prepare for.
Yes.
So you're a little bit under control with it. Aging parents, like I think our parents are living older now as well. And that's something that maybe in the past hadn't been something you had to deal with. But now there's a responsibility of thinking about those individuals, and what you're going to do for them, household responsibilities. Everyone just needs something from you.
Yeah, for sure. And eventually you begin asking, what do I need from me? Which is a nice change.
Yeah.
And that's often where that rebrand begins and why we see so many of these women making these major shifts in their 40s and 50s and onward.
So we're going to use an analogy of earthquakes because it is almost like this little mini
midlife.
Yeah.
Transitions.
Shake.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Shake it out.
Yeah.
Shake it off.
Yeah.
Taylor, we're going to shake it off. Okay. So earthquake number 1 is career. Many women reach their late 40s and early 50s and begin asking, is this still meaningful? Do I still want this for another 20 years? Am I still growing? Does this version of success still matter to me?
And I think so many listeners can relate to this, right? And it's not because they necessarily hate their jobs, but what if it was just completely wrong? What if it doesn't fit anymore, right? Because what we're seeing today looks very different. Women are not shrinking in that midlife, they're expanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always think of it as you want to get the right, you want to be in the right seat. And what if now in your 40s and 50s, the seat you've always been in is no longer the seat that is right for you?
Right.
I think that's a real kind of shift there.
Yeah.
So I was talking to a friend recently who had what most people would consider a very successful career. She was in her late 40s, making good money, respected in her industry, and from the outside, everything looked great. And then she said something that stopped me. I don't hate my job. I just don't recognize the woman who chose it. She'd spent 20 years climbing a ladder she thought she wanted to climb. And then one day she looked around and realized that she was exhausted, not only because she was working hard, but because she had changed. The job had not, but she and herself had had a fundamental shift that just made her realize it was not fulfilling her in the same way.
Right. So what did she do?
Well, she didn't quit overnight.
Okay, no.
Yeah. And I would say we're not experts, but I would also say, don't quit overnight.
Right.
Don't quit overnight.
Yeah. And I think that's a thing about, I think there's days where you're like, I'm at my end and you want to do a major shift and just be radical, but proceed with caution. Sleep on that.
Yeah.
And see if it's still there in the morning. And if it's still there in the morning, then maybe think about a strategy of what you can do to change that.
Yeah. That's like, we've said that a few times throughout our podcast, actually, that 24-hour period of keep it in your cart, decide if it's going to be in your cart the next day. It's that kind of analogy. Just take a moment and think. Did not quit overnight, but they started experimenting, like one class, one side project, one conversation. And then eventually they moved into a different role that aligned more closely with who she had become. And she told me the biggest surprise wasn't changing direction. It was realizing I was allowed to.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
That's
It's
huge.
That allowing yourself.
I love that for her. And like how? what a gift for herself, right? When we've all been there, where we feel like we're stuck in this rut.
Yeah.
And you wake up one day and like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I mean, just either the mental grind that it takes on you, or you get the Sunday scaries, right? Where you know that Monday's coming and you're like, oh God, what is this week going to be like for me? And for her to be brave and to explore other areas that itch her scratch, whatever she was looking for, I think is just such a gift for yourself to take that time and realize that and do it. So good for her.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I think it's one of those moments, isn't it, Jen, where it's like, obviously you have to be aware of what you're good at.
Yeah.
So like we all like to dream big, yeah? And I think it's having that reality check of, okay, I want to dream big, but what am I good at? What could I be delivering in the world that I'm not today that would fulfill me and that I'm actually good at?
Yes.
And I think at this point in our life, I would advocate that women start to realize what they're good at and they hold on to that and they scream loud about it. Because I feel like for so long, we probably kept our voice of what we're good at a little bit tucked away, scared to say it, no different than writing that goal down and sharing it with someone. I'd really like women to feel empowered to say, I'm really good at this.
Right. And if you don't know, this is where AI can be a great thought partner, where you can plug in your resume and then talk about what your passions are and what you're looking for and keep asking questions back and forth and to try to get to the point like, well, if, this is where you're at, these could be avenues for you. Like that's where AI, like for me, AI doesn't do a lot of my work for me, but I work at home for a company and sometimes I need someone to be a thought partner and bounce things off of. And that's where AI really helps me think about, oh, right, I didn't think about it that way, or challenges me in areas where if I was having a conversation with a real person, that would help me filter some of those ideas out. So if you don't know, give AI a spin and see if it can help you think about where your next chapter could take you.
And interestingly, one of my colleagues the other day was talking to me about there's something AI out there now, and I don't know the name of it. I should have asked a few more questions around it, but there's a mechanism out there, and I'm sure there's several, where if you're at a different point in your life, so starting your career, and I would imagine this works exactly the same way, even for us at our point in life, where you can plug in things that you're interested in, and it can help you uncover almost what your career path would be.
See,
So
I love that.
For those going into the workforce, like newly going in, why can't it work for us?
Right.
You acknowledge your strengths in it, you say what you're interested in, and then it gives you information on maybe what you should pursue.
Right.
This is our awakening.
Yeah.
This is our time to plug in.
Yep.
Just like the younger folks are doing and start saying, these are my strengths.
Yeah, most definitely.
This is what I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so earthquake number 2 is relationships and family. So we've talked about this in previous episodes. Yeah. Friendships shift, right? Marriages evolve, children become independent, parents age. The relationships that were once like defined our daily lives are changing. We're totally feeling this. We talk about it all the time that we are in the thick of this.
Yeah. And I think it naturally causes us to then ask, who am I now?
Yeah.
I know that voice in my head is always like, who am I?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Do I want to be doing this,
Yeah. So as we've been talking to like our friends and family that are going through sending the kids off to college, and we talk about those transitions, which can be scary. Like for months, everybody was asking her the same question. She's like, are you sad? Like, how are you feeling? And she was, right? But it wasn't the only feeling that she had. Like what surprised her the most is like, she felt super excited. She was excited about this change for her child and herself. And she's like, I spent 20 years of my life and I forgot that I had my own life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she was an incredible mom, but somewhere along the way, she had stopped asking herself what she wanted. And I think that is so relatable. Yeah. And the house became a little bit quieter. She started remembering old dreams, traveling, writing, like learning new things. And she said like she wasn't losing her identity, but she was rediscovering parts of it. And I wrote this down because I thought this was important. She goes, for the first time in 10 years, I was wondering, like, what do I want to be when I grow up? And she's 52.
Yeah.
So I think that is just so cool for her. And I'm so happy that she has that, right? That is like, totally, that's really cool.
It's so exciting. It's like a whole new journey.
Yeah.
And I feel like we we try and raise our children so that they can go on their journey.
Yep.
And then it's exciting to witness their journey and be a part of it.
Yeah.
But also then to start on your new journey.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool. So earthquake number 3, the body. Oh my gosh, let's be honest. Nothing gets your attention faster than suddenly not recognizing your own body.
Right. So we talk about it. Perimenopause and the menopause have finally like entered into mainstream conversation. But what really gets overlooked is that physical changes that can trigger identity changes, right? Like your body just feels different. And it is different. And you have that whole like, who am I? That identity shift.
I think energy changes, sleep changes, confidence changes. What used to work may stop working. That can be frustrating, but it can also be a wake-up call.
Yeah.
I mean, I've asked Jen after this podcast today, I bought some clothes that I wouldn't usually wear. And I'm like, would you just take a look?
Right. It's like, okay, can I still be wearing this?
You know, because it hugely changes. And it is almost like you don't recognize yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think it's just like your body asking you sometimes to slow down. You know, things feel different. Like, pay attention. We're sending you a message to change your priorities, to stop living in a way that is no longer sustainable. It does mean, is your body like betraying you? Or it may mean that your body is just asking you to listen, right? So, like, I think that's something to be aware of as well. Like, I see it in running. In everything you read will be like, don't do as much cardio. Like, yeah, cardio is important, but like you need the muscle. You need to be stretching. Like if you fall, you need to make sure you can get up, right? And so I put a lot more emphasis on strength training than I was in running, but I miss the run sometimes. Like sometimes it just feels good to run, but I know it's beating the hell out of my body. And I'm like, and then I'll have the aches and pains. The stairs will get me the next day. And I'm like, God, was that worth it? So I need to be more mindful of the things I should be doing. And because our time is so valuable, what's going to give us the biggest return on that investment? How are you going to see those results?
Yeah, because you do still want to feel good about this new body that you're living in, you know? And it gets complicated. So the Confidence Rebrand. I have another friend who spent most of her life worrying about what everyone thought. Every decision went through the same filter. Would people approve? Would they understand? Would they think she was selfish? Then she turned 50 and something began to shift. Not overnight, but gradually. She realized she'd spent decades earning approval from people that she didn't even want advice from. It was almost like she was like, why?
Right.
Like,
we've all been there.
Right?
We've all been there. Like we leave conversations and we're like, did that even give me anything? But you're just sitting there in that room or in that conversation like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, doing the motion.
Right, going through the motion for sure.
So one day she booked a solo trip, not because she was fearless, because she was kind of scared, but because she was tired of waiting.
Yeah.
You know, waiting in that moment of, I'm thinking this, I'm feeling this, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
She was nervous, but she went. And when she came home, she said, I thought I needed confidence before I did scary things. It turns out confidence comes after.
Yeah.
The trip didn't obviously change her life completely, but it changed how she saw herself. You know, she saw that rebrand. Not changing all your circumstances, obviously. We're not saying, hey, ditch your family,
right?
Ditch your friends, go set up a whole new life in the South Pacific. But changing the story that you tell about yourself, I think that's what is possible.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember the movie in the book, Eat, Pray, Love, right?
Yeah.
Where she was looking for something, didn't really know what it was, but sometimes it's just freeing. And not that you're going to go take a trip, it could just be the day and just throw caution to the wind and being like, I'm just going to do this for myself and explore and think and take that time. Because if you are in that transition space where your kids are becoming more independent, or maybe there's a little bit more free time in your life, it is such a good time just to sit and reflect and do those things. So I'm so in awe of these women who have taken the plunge or have the confidence to do the things, or to maybe say, no, stop. This is about me right now. I'm not going to cater to all these other people's needs. Yeah. So I think it's just very brave, and we should all be there. So
yeah. And
so cool.
It can feel wonky. It can feel real wonky. You can get the wobble.
We're not used to doing this. No.
But I think I have such admiration for women that are brave. I really do. And I feel like we should really shout about that.
Yep.
Really do and celebrate it.
Yes, agreed. Yeah.
Because we're all too quick to critique it.
Yeah. So like we've shared these stories and, maybe the reasons why, but for us in our community, we want to have this rebrand audit, right? Well, let's take some inventory here.
Yeah.
So wherever you're listening, driving, walking, folding laundry, sitting by the pool, maybe, school pickup line, wherever you're at, let's ask ourselves some questions.
Okay. What are you pretending to enjoy?
Yeah. So think about that. What are you tolerating? That's a big one.
What have you outgrown?
What have you secretly wanted to try?
What would you pursue if nobody judged you?
These are big, right? I mean, these are not small questions, but the answers may tell you where your life and where you want to expand. So we're going to put those questions, in our socials, and we really challenge you to think about those questions. They are powerful. Like I have goosebumps right now thinking about that. I think it's super cool.
They also make me smirk because they're all things that I almost wish I did more.
Right.
Yeah. That they cross my mind.
Yeah. And they also could make you feel a little bit sad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you think about those questions, you're like, wow, how did 40, 50 years of my life pass by and I didn't do that?
Yeah.
Like shame on me. Like but it's not too late, right? We talk about that a lot. Like you can start today.
Yeah.
So.
And I think you can also have the moment where you think you're being selfish by thinking that way. And I think we knock that voice away.
Got to stop that.
We're going to not listen to that voice and we're going to listen to this new inner awakening voice.
Yeah, for sure.
So the uplift now. We've done a lot of unraveling. So now we're going to do some uplift. The Midlife Rebrand framework. Here's the good news. You do not need to blow up your entire life. Okay, fact.
Yeah. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow. You don't need to sell your house. You don't need to move to Italy.
You
but
can if you want.
Actually, sounds pretty great. You don't need to end every relationship or reinvent yourself overnight. But your most meaningful change comes from beginning a little bit smaller, right?
So audit step number 1. Start by asking what energizes me? What drains me? What am I doing because I truly want to? What am I doing because it's expected? What still fits and what no longer fits? Think of Jen and that blazer.
Yep.
Jen loved that blazer.
Yep.
Paid an extortionate amount of money for it.
Yes.
That blazer, as much as you love it now, doesn't fit.
No.
Doesn't fit who you are.
No. Yeah. So it's got to go.
It's got to go.
Yeah, it's time to clean house, ladies. We had an episode on spring cleaning, and you may want to go back and listen to that one because sometimes it's detoxing your life, right? And if things don't fit you anymore, not just physically, but mentally, it's time to clean house. Yeah. And this exercise isn't about judging your life. It's about gathering that information so you can figure out that path forward. Yeah.
I like this one. Step 2, experiment. Think experiments, not commitments. Take a class, join a club, volunteer, start a side project, try something you've always been curious about.
Yeah.
This makes me think of chemistry class. Okay. I don't often think about school chemistry.
Going? Okay.
But when you used to have that Bunsen burner, because we were allowed to have Bunsen burners back then.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're allowed to now, but we'd have the Bunsen burner. You'd have like your little test tubes and your tripod, and you would put things in there and you would experiment to see what would happen, what funny smells would come out. Would it gas emit? Would it blow something up, right? Do that.
Right.
Let's go back to our chemistry days and let's
100%.
experiment this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't have to have this be your forever decision, right? You're collecting information. Like you said, you're trying things and you're learning what it feels like to be alive again and find that path forward. I think it's super cool. So step 3 is the edit. We just talked about spring cleaning. So every great brand knows what they're doing. And this applies to your life, right? So you have to ask yourself, what needs to leave my life to make room for what is next? So it could be a commitment. It could be a habit. It could be an expectation. And maybe it's the belief that it's just not too late, right?
Okay, this is the challenging part. No different to that goal. You need to declare it. So tell someone, say your dream out loud, not who you have been, but who you're becoming. Honestly, we would not be here on this podcast had Jen and I not shared. Well, actually, you shared. I'm going to be honest, you were the brave one.
Yeah.
Jen was the brave one. Jen said it out loud, and it really resonated with me.
Yeah.
You know?
I was scared. I had imposter syndrome, and I needed a partner, and we're better together because of it, right? There's days where I can be weak and Claire is strong and vice versa. And we bring things, together, and we just like AI I talked about, Claire's my thought partner. So if you are struggling to figure out where you go next, find that partner who can help and empower you. And if there isn't someone in your circle that can do that, it even goes back to when we talked about a coaching episode. This is where coaching helps with that forward thinking, right? It's not about necessarily the past. It's about how do I get to where I want to go next? Yeah. So there's a lot of resources out there to help you get to those goals. Yeah.
And achieving those steps.
Yeah. So we have a challenge for you. So this week, we want you to complete our midlife rebrand challenge. So stop one thing that drains you, right? So definitely stop doing that. Start one thing that excites you. Tell one person about a dream that you've been keeping for yourself. And that's it. It's that simple.
And then come engage with us. Send us a message or comment on social media and tell us what part of your life you're rebranding right now. We want to hear your stories. We really, really do. This is part of why we wanted to start this podcast, so we could have a community. We've got a Facebook community group where we've got folks that share on there. And I'm truly grateful for their perspectives.
Yes. And it's truly great. Others too, because I think there's times where you think you're out there alone and then you hear, we're normal people. Earlier we talked about celebrities who were on a reinvention tour and doing things later in life. And when we talked about those, I was like, okay, they're celebrities. I mean, they're not relatable. They have all these things and these resources, and we think their lives are so perfect. But when you think about normal people like we are in our community, it's just really inspiring to hear people that walk probably in the same shoes that you do and try something new, or even share their fears. So then you feel like, okay, well, this isn't I shouldn't feel alone in this.
Yeah. And this isn't silly. People have real feelings that are not silly.
Yes.
But when they're stuck in your head, sometimes they can feel silly.
Yeah. And I think as women, I think there was a period in our life that it could get very sort of toxic, and people would laugh at other people and even almost bully, behind the scenes. Maybe they wouldn't do it to your face. You're like, oh my gosh, can you believe they're doing this? And now I feel like there's so many women that have confidence that we all want each other to win.
Yeah. Let's be kind. Let's be kind to each other.
And lead by example and do right by one another. And, I always tell the kids to stay golden and treat others. The golden rule is you treat others like you'd want to be treated. So that's what we want to do in this community. Yeah. Okay.
So maybe the goal is not becoming someone new. Maybe the goal is finally becoming the person you've been all along, but now you have permission to be it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, the world tells women that midlife is about holding on, right? Holding on to your youth, holding on to your identities, holding on to the roles that we've outgrown.
But maybe we shift that and we look at it as an invitation of midlife is different. And maybe it's about letting go of expectations, of perfection, of versions of ourselves that no longer fit.
Yeah, because when we talk about this, maybe waiting on the other side is not a decline. Maybe it's an expansion.
A growth.
Yeah.
And not the unnatural kind on your body.
Right.
A good, positive.
Like where that hair comes from. Right. Is that a mole with hair in it?
Yeah.
What is
We're looking at this as a good, positive growth.
Right.
Midlife is not asking you to become someone new.
Yes. It's asking you to become more of yourself.
That authenticness.
Yes, for sure.
That is a word, right?
I think so. Yeah, it is.
Okay. Authenticity.
Yes.
So if this episode resonated with you, we'd love to hear from you. Come find us on social media and tell us what part of your life you are rebranding right now.
Right. And if you know another friend or another woman who needs to hear this conversation, please share this episode with her. And that the more that you can help us helps the community and helps us all grow together.
Be sure to follow Unravel Uplift so you never miss an episode.
And if you're enjoying the show, we would love for you to take a moment and just leave us a 5-star rating. That just helps us so much to climb on the top of the rankings. And it only takes a few seconds, and it really does make a difference. Those ratings help more women discover this podcast and join our community.
And I'm going to say until next time. But first of all, I was hoping that this tank.
Oh, yes, we got merch, guys.
Okay, was going to be in shop. But yes, we now have some Unravel and Uplift swag as well. So reach out to us for more information on that.
Yes.
But until next time.
Yes, we'll keep unraveling and uplifting.
And becoming the woman you're always meant to be.
Yeah.
And we're going to do this together.
Thanks, guys. Next time, we'll see ya.